I think this might have to become a yearly tradition at this point because there's things that annoy me in the NBA. Quite a few things. More things than should annoy me because at the end of the day, who really cares enough? I guess me. That's why I'm making this video. But I think it should become a yearly tradition because as someone who is by no means a draft expert, I say that every single time I talk about the draft, and I find myself still talking about the draft because, it's a fun thing to talk about. I can't lie, and I still do my research, but I have to preface that every single time. So I'm doing that. As someone who's not a draft expert, something that annoys me just as much as anything else when it comes to the NBA is people saying a team made a terrible pick because, well, I thought he was going to go at pick 20 and he went at pick 12. I thought he was going to go at pick 9 and he went at pick 4. So automatically, because he jumped up in your expectations, often these people calling it a terrible pick are the same people that saw 3 mock drafts from NBADraft.net, CBS and ESPN and then decided, look, well, that guy's the 20th best player in the class, and, well, if he goes at 12, that's automatically a terrible pick. What are you doing? What are you doing, San Antonio Spurs? You have no idea what you're doing, man. You're clearly not an organization that has been well run for the last 30 years. That's not you. That's not you, San Antonio Spurs. No, that could not be you. And that's what I need to talk about because Josh Primo has been someone that has gotten a lot of people saying it's a bad pick. Now, everyone's entitled to their own opinion. I'm not going to come in here and say, oh, you can never call a pick bad. You can never say that. You're obviously entitled to your own opinion. But it's the idea that people call it a bad pick purely based off what they see of a ranking. And I know this because you see people who just say, oh, well, he was projected to go here and he went there. So it's obviously a bad pick. Oh, they should have traded down, which is my favorite one. We don't know half of the deal. We don't know. So we don't know if a team was going to take Joshua Primo at 15. We see mock drafts from journalists. We don't know what teams are thinking. There is a reason why people get taken higher in the draft because, well, workouts, things that impressed him. Patrick Williams last year, the Bulls took him at 4. The Pistons were rumored to take him at 7 after he was rumored to be at 10. So gradually he started to just increase until he got all the way up to 4, and he turned out to be pretty good. He looks like a pretty good prospect. And the same things were said about him. Oh, it's a reach. Who even is this guy? Oh my God, he came off the bench. Oh my God. Yeah, he turned out pretty damn good. Joshua Primo, similar things have been said. Now, as I said, I'm not some expert on Primo, and I don't know a ton about him. I have done the research, and I've looked into his game. But just this idea, we need to stop this idea that it's a bad pick solely because of where you projected him to go. We don't know where he was going to go. We don't know any of these reasons. And if you're the San Antonio Spurs with the 12th pick, this is an organization that has had a pick in the teens for a long time now. They haven't really had a top pick in ages. They haven't had a top pick in ages. We know that. And they've been doing pretty well with that. Keldon Johnson was a nice pickup. Devin Vassell, I think, is going to be nice. Lonnie Walker, DeJounte Murray, Jakob Poeltl was in a trade. Lucas Armanich is still kind of yet to be determined. And I missed a guy, Derek White. You get the point. They've got a lot of solid role players. I think Keldon Johnson might have potential to be a star. DeJounte Murray maybe as well. Lucas Armanich is a complete unknown. And Devin Vassell, it's still early to tell. So they've got a lot of guys that look to be good role players. Derek White, Lonnie Walker, all of these guys. But they don't really have a guy with that star upside. Keldon Johnson, as I mentioned, maybe DeJounte Murray. They don't have a guy that's just going to be a star player, going to be a superstar player. So they're a team that needs to take a chance. They've got the role players there. They've got players who have high floors right now in all of those guys I just mentioned. Why not take a chance? Why not go for a guy like Joshua Primo, who has a lot of things to his game? He's the youngest player in this class. He's got great intangibles. He's 6'6", 6'9" wingspan. He can shoot off the dribble. He can shoot off the catch. He's got a ton of confidence in himself. A lot of these things are important. And when you're the Spurs, you've got a chance to bring in someone who's young and develop him and mold him into the player that you want him to be. It's like a fresh canvas. It's starting with someone new. And we may as well talk about Joshua Primo. Sorry, that was a bit of a rant. I know. I apologize if you don't want to see things like that. It's just a bit of a rant. I had to get it out of my system because stuff like that annoys me. It's like, don't call a pick terrible just based off where you expected him to go because you saw 2 mock drafts that, weren't probably even good ones in the first place. Just don't do that. The same, if you're the Spurs and you want to take a player at 12 and you think he's going to go at 18, you can't always just trade back as well. It's this idea that, they can just trade back. It's that simple. If he's your guy, you don't normally want to take that chance. Maybe you don't want to take the risk of trading back and then he gets taken at 16 and then you're left with, an extra second round pick, an extra early second round pick for the sake of losing the guy that you wanted? That seems a little bit dumb to me. So just take the guy, and they did in Primo. And just looking at Primo as a player, again, let me say, no expert, but he's someone who can shoot off the dribble. He shot at about 39% from three this year. He only averaged like 9 points a game for Alabama, but he came off the bench for a decent amount of the season, and he started for a decent amount of the season. He was by no means a leading scorer. They had a lot more established players on their team who took more shots and were further along the pecking order, but he just showed the flashes of a guy with potential. As I said, the youngest player in the draft class. He's someone that's going to come in and you're going to be able to mold him. You're going to be able to take him on board. From what I heard, he had great workouts. He really impressed there. So that could mean a few things. He might have had good interviews as well. When you're bringing in someone who's young, those intangibles, I said his confidence was there. Yeah, this is someone who's not afraid of taking on the big shots. He's not afraid of pulling up in someone's face. He's just not afraid of shooting or any of those kind of moments. Those intangibles can be important. What he said in interviews can be important. I saw his interview and his breakdown with Mike Schmitz. He seemed like a pretty good guy. He seemed like he was pretty knowledgeable about what he needed to do, where he needed to be, how he needed to mold his game, molding his game off the likes of Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, those kind of shooting guards that can also play make as well. So he rates himself as a playmaker. He thinks he's still got some room to improve in a lot of aspects of the game. He believes he can obviously be that guy. I mean, every single prospect believes that. With Primo, he does have all of those aspects of his game to a degree. You see the playmaking at times. You see the shooting off the dribble, off the catch, off movement, coming off screens, off pin downs. You see all of those things. It's about doing that more consistently. It's about adding some strength. It's about being able to guard positions 1 through 3, which he has the potential to do. As I said, 6'9" wingspan. He's 6'5", but he's a guard. If he puts on some more muscle, he might be a versatile defender alongside someone who can put up buckets and shoot efficiently. There is potential with this guy. I like what I saw with Primo. Maybe he's a reach. Who really cares at the end of the day? If he's a good pick, no one's going to remember. Actually, they might remember and be like, yeah, they reached on that guy who turned out to be a star. The Spurs have a pretty good idea of what they're doing. I know they haven't hit the draft out of the park in recent memory because they haven't really had a star yet. Keldon Johnson. I don't need to repeat myself. You know what I'm saying about the Spurs draft. It's been decent, but they haven't hit it out of the park, but they really haven't had a ton of chances to do so. The teens are a tough place to pick. Obviously, they got Kawhi Leonard once upon a time. I don't want to bring that up for Spurs fans. I know that's obviously a tough subject, but they got Kawhi Leonard once upon a time. People have done well in the teens. Devin Booker, the guy who Primo molds his game on, was in the teens as well. It can happen, but it's not exactly the highest hit rate. So for the Spurs to pretty much draft all guys who are starting-ish level quality or around that mix is pretty impressive. That's pretty impressive. And now they took a chance on someone who's probably a little bit of a lower floor, but a higher potential. Similar to Samanic, who we still don't know if he's going to pan out to be someone or not. In terms of the fit, I mean, I guess you could have gone for center if you're not completely sold on Jakob Poeltl and what he can bring, even though I liked what he was as a defensive anchor. Sure, he's limited offensively, but I really liked what he did, and the defensive rating showed they were a hugely better team once he was the bona fide center after LaMarcus Aldridge left, which seems so long ago. Shout out to LA, man. Shout out to LA. I hope he's doing well, but that seems like a ton of time ago. But they were a really much improved defense. They've got some other good defensive guys. I just don't think the fit matters for them. They're in a situation where you just take a swing on someone you believe is going to be that next guy to lead your franchise forward. That's a lot of weight to put on the shoulders of Josh Primo, but you've got other guys alongside him. Keldon Johnson, DeJounte Murray, to name a couple, that'll also help him along the way. And then in this draft alone as well, they brought in Joe Wieskamp. I believe I'm pronouncing that right. I hope so. He's a three-point deadeye. He's someone who shot over 40% from three. He seems like more of a high-floor prospect that I believe can come in and make an impact with his shooting. Not going to lie to you, I don't know a ton about him. This video is more directed around Josh Primo and just the narrative that I saw with quite a few videos, whether it was on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, or whatever. I saw a lot of people saying, well, this was a bad pick purely because of their expectations of where he was going to go. And I think we just need to put a stop to that. If you think a pick is bad because you don't like the player, if that's your reasoning, fine. If you don't like Primo, you think he's terrible, whatever. I'm not going to blame you. That's cool. But if you just think it because of where you thought someone else, because where you saw someone else put him, just no. Think on yourself, man. Think for yourself. If you don't like the Davion Mitchell pick because he's a 6-foot guard going to the Kings who already have multiple guards on their roster, their two best players are guards, understandable. But if you just don't like the pick because what I've mentioned, just no. So I hope Primo is going to turn out to be a good pick. I've got relatively high hopes for him in just the film that I've been able to watch. No expert here. just a humble man trying to do his job.